Go Danksy, how's everyone doing?
That's
Happy
good, Brent.
Valentine's Day.
Yes, sir. Happy
Well,
Val-
there's not a lot of red today, which is great for Valentine's Day.
I
Great
know,
for the
right?
ladies. I'm gonna start
Right.
balling out.
Yeah, people woke up happy and started to shop some discounts here in crypto.
Yeah.
So
A lot of people are getting steak dinners tonight just because the bags are up. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. I just posted it in the Telegram. So if you're coming from the Telegram, the Twitter, wherever you're finding us, welcome. It's an exciting day. I think it's a great time to do this stream. Um, if you're new to the stream, my name is Bren. We got my boy Danksy for Loco. Usually we have our other partner Rotes and then my boy Yoni as well. A lot of times, we do this stream twice a week, Fridays and Tuesday and Friday. We talk about everything going on in Web3, NFTs, crypto, memes, AI, all the current events that are going on. Today is actually a special stream. We have a special guest who isn't on yet. He's getting through some technical difficulties. We'll have him on at some point in the show. My boy Max Crypto here, who him and I actually connected a few months ago, actually after an NFT post that I made and in the Telegram, the Boss Man calls Telegram. And I've just learned so much from this guy. He's actually had like I think 4 decades in the traditional finance realm. He bought Ethereum. He can tell you more about this himself, but he bought Ethereum under $8, Bitcoin I think under 1,000. Just super insightful guy. I've learned so much from him, and I think why it's super relevant, especially today, to have somebody like Max on the show is because he's seen the TradFi realm and regulatory regulations and how they affect markets and stuff, and can really have a lot of insight in how the regulations will really you know have an effect on crypto and propel hopefully our bags to new heights. So with that, usually we do a Rotes, what we like to call the Rotes review, which is our boy Rotes, who isn't on, does a review of what's going on the last few days. But we'll just do a little bit of an amended version of that. First off, probably the most important thing that happened this week was probably the CZ Binance thing, the coin, right? For Loco, would you say?
yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things that happen in crypto. But if we start with kind of like macro headlines, I mean, when you think
Yeah.
about it, the stocks are actually green. Tech stocks are green on the back of a fairly interesting week with Trump pointing out tariffs again, but it looks like everything has kind of like uh, calmed down a little bit. Coinbase reported Q4 earnings, and apparently they smashed earnings. They had a 2.3 billion in revenue, which is a 23% above analyst expectations, which is good for for the crypto industry. I think in December was probably the best month that they had last year. Then I think Robinhood CEO shared and that they might use stable coins to facilitate transactions, which is another kind of like bullish news. And then there's another headline around GameStop considering investing in Bitcoin as well. So we're seeing kind of like companies outside of crypto, non-crypto native companies really starting to utilize stable coins and kind of like dabbling with blockchain transactions because they know there's fees involved and they want a piece of that for sure. Also, Jupiter announced that they're buying back some of the token, which is if you hold Jupiter or JLP, these are great news. And then other news that we had aside from the CC token, we had OpenSea announce the season 2 beta plus the perhaps it's coming up the airdrop C ticker C,
Yep.
which everyone is I guess I've seen, I don't know what you guys have seen, but I've seen definitely mixed reviews and mixed thoughts on the timeline. We all know there's a ton of hatred for OpenSea, so we'll see how they manage. And then the other one was the Doodles also shared their ticker Dude token and tokenomics, I believe yesterday or the day before. So a ton of new tokens coming up, projects. We'll see if the market can digest them or what happens. But those are some of the news that I've seen. Danksy, do you have any?
Yeah, on the Coinbase thing, it seems like the market really likes the stablecoin situation, like generating a lot
Yeah.
of fees, stablecoin usage going up. Yeah, people just like stablecoins and their fees, and nothing's more recurring revenue than stablecoin transactions, right? Um,
Yeah.
some of the things I saw today, Wisconsin and Abu Dhabi are investing in Bitcoin. Wisconsin has some Bitcoin ETFs, and then Abu Dhabi, I think, has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So more buy-in on Bitcoin on the government level. Um,
Yeah,
looks
New
pretty.
Mexico too, right? New Mexico also added to the states in the U.S. that
Yeah, so there
want
was
to.
a list. There's like a list that if
Yeah,
the all these bills were to be passed, it'd be like $20 billion worth of something Bitcoin buys. I'm also seeing in the chat from Panda, who I always appreciate, giving us a heads up. I guess the Twitter chat is not working again. I'd expect that's probably something with EV Mux, but we need to figure that out. Either way, for now, if you guys do have any comments, questions, anything, I guess you can comment on the post of the chat again. It's unfortunate. We'll figure it out
Did you
again.
see that Yuga Labs sold another NFT project to
Ebits, yeah.
someone? Yeah, Meebits to someone else.
mhm.
It looks like they're just getting rid of everything right now.
Yeah,
Well, no,
interesting.
everything. I think they're trying to build cash because the game is very expensive to develop, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
there was rumors that they were gonna, they were shopping punks, but interesting to see that they sold me bits. Damn, I wish this Twitter chat was working, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. We need to do some. We just assumed it was the Twitter, but it might be EV Mux. Either way, guys, our boy Max at some point will hop on and we'll ask him some questions, and you guys in the chat can ask him some questions as well. But let's go ahead and move on a bit to the majors. We went over, the CZ thing. I think a lot of people kind of expected to, you know, completely suck out liquidity from the market, and I think maybe temporarily it did. But it's good to see that a lot of stuff is holding strong, and as the majors move up here, I think a lot of stuff's going to have a resurgence. So I think, am I already sharing my screen?
Now you are. Or,
yes.
let me do it. You
Uh,
got it.
See if there's any kind of troubleshooting, Danksy, while we're doing this. If you can do for the chat, because it might be EV Mux, but if not, it's not a big deal.
Okay, let me
Uh,
look.
yeah, no worries. So Bitcoin. We'll go ahead and start with the majors. Bitcoin. We've been telling you for a bit here. Obvious corrective behavior on the charts, and this nice corrective channel like structure into this low from January of about a month ago. For me, almost every time when this happens, you get some type of bounce, and very, very likely it's going to be a bounce that takes us back to all time highs as long as we can clear that 110K area. It's always possible we can come back down and form a bigger consolidation. But with everything going on regulatory clarity wise, after these big washouts on everything, all the memes, I think very likely after we get a daily candle close above 105K, we're going to be off to the races and very likely on to new all time highs. I think I see Bitcoin reaching about to 150K next, which again is only about a 30% pump above all time highs, maybe 50%. So yeah, I think again we're kind of waiting for that final confirmation to really the chart is above 105K, but so far so good. I think again very likely here after the biggest piece here is this consolidation for almost 2 weeks. If you've been in these calls or you're in the Telegram channel, you know that I'm really big on these consolidations, and that um, consolidation of at least a few weeks almost always leads to a big bounce. And again, a bounce out of this corrective channel will very likely lead to an all-time high. So that's what I'm expecting over the next few weeks. This could very likely be it. But again, the final kind of confirmation is going to be that 105K daily candle close, for me at least. At that point, 80-90% chance usually that we go back to all-time highs, I would say, from there. So let's go ahead and go to ETH. Same story, guys. I think if Bitcoin goes up, the other two will go up. I personally think my base case is that the or my thesis again is at least that this regulatory clarity that's coming from the government, everything, BlackRock talking about tokenized stocks and bonds. I think Ethereum is going to be the biggest beneficiary of that, Ethereum, the chain, and therefore the coin itself should have a massive run due to the block space demand that's going to come from tokenized stocks, bonds, all that stuff. I think we're going to see that start to heat up here pretty soon. So yeah, I think Ethereum goes back to all time highs this year. Very likely to 5 to 7K. I think 7K, which is again just like a 40%, 50% run above all time highs, is very possible even in the first half of the year once things get started here. So I don't know which is going to outperform Sol or ETH. I think it's good to have a bag of both. We can speculate on what's going to happen. I think Sol ETH is actually at a very, for those of you who don't know, Sol ETH tracks the strength of Solana versus ETH over time. And as you can see, since June 22nd, or really before that, since September of 2023, what's it called? Sol has gone up again against ETH 7x. So if you would have sold all your Sol for ETH on September 23rd, you'd be up 7x against that. Now, does that mean it continues and Sol just continues to go up? It's possible. But Sol ETH, this ratio is sitting at a very crucial 2 month high. So it's pretty much do or die here in the sense that if it uh, if it breaks this all time high, it's very likely just going to continue on for the foreseeable future. But if it fails to break, it very likely could form a kind of a double top, and we could see Sol come down against ETH at least temporarily. So that's kind of what I'm watching. Either way, I think Sol and ETH are both going to continue to do well into this year, which will lift up all the memes as well, which we'll talk about here shortly. But yeah, SPX as well, like Loco mentioned, is doing very well. I think it did hit a new all-time high here a few hours ago. Now it's just kind of chilling above it. For me, unless there's some kind of a black swan, whether it be a financial crisis or whatever, which is possible but very rare. I think risk assets, including crypto, stocks, metals, all that, are going to continue to the upside this year, especially when they give us such clean corrective chart setups here. So yeah,
Yeah.
I expect SPX to go up as well. Chime in whenever as well.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like, even if we're at the end of quantitative tightening or whatever, like QT, and we're gonna start QE soon. Regardless, that's gonna mean that pretty much your dollar is gonna be worth less, which means Trump wants the dollar to be cheaper, right? Like, it wants to be so that they can actually stimulate and start growing the economy. Every pretty much every president wants to to have those kind of conditions, right? Low interest rates, and so that other countries and outside investors invest in the U.S., right? As he has these tariffs and policies to strengthen the U.S. economy. So
Yeah,
I even if on the backdrop there's a ton of there's always been some concerns. I just don't see the stock market crashing this year. So
yeah,
regardless, of what we can see short term, and see, there might be some volatility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
yeah,
as you mentioned, it just seems that it's just going to keep going higher, and that will push risk assets like crypto and
absolutely.
our meme coins as well, for
Hey,
sure.
Max, can you hear us, bro? Can you say something?
I
Oh
can
my.
hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
let's go. Love to see it, bro.
Let's
Awesome, Max. Looking good.
go.
I love the background of the Bitcoin thing too. For those of you guys on here, this is our special guest, Max. I gave him a little bit of an intro at the beginning of the show, but if you just hopped on, this is my guy Max here. Him and I actually connected a few months ago based on I think an NFT post I made in the Telegram channel,
Yeah.
and this guy he can tell you a little bit himself too. But I think you said, what do you have, 4 decades in the traditional finance realm, Max?
Yeah. I started in '82 when the Dow was 900.
Amazing. Yeah. So he's a lot of insight in the traditional finance realm, which is very relevant to what's going on with the crypto regulatory stuff. But then as well as, Max bought what? Ethereum under $8, Max?
650,
650. And what was Bitcoin at?
701.
Wow. Amazing. So not only is he a TradFi OG, but he's a crypto OG as well. And I mean, just one of the most humble, like insightful individuals like I've ever met. So we're blessed to have him on this stream. So welcome, Max.
Great man. Good to see you.
Of course. So we were just going over the majors a little bit right now, and the S&P 500. I mean, what is your insights on kind of where the stock market's at right now, and do you think
Yeah. Yeah.
continues
I
up?
think we're we send a note out to clients all over the world, but by the way, you guys are welcome to a copy of it. But I think people don't understand how big the next several years are going to be. The United States is about to embark on the busiest decade for its GDP and demand cycle that it's ever witnessed. And there are so many people that are afraid of when the bottom is going to drop out. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and I can't tell you how many times the bottom was going to drop out. And the only guy that won is the one who ignored all that horse shit, because at the end of the day, it's garbage. Um, at the end of the day, what drives economies is demographic structure of generations of people, because people create demand in an economy. We've created trademarked social sciences that help people understand that. And what the good news is that we are on the brink of the best decade to 2 decades of growth United States has ever seen, ever. So when you hear people tell you about how bad it might get, you need to be very strong mentally, and you need to do your very best to ignore it. Now, because of all that, is why cryptocurrency is becoming such an important, vital element. In the last 60 days, you guys already know all this, but hopefully it helps. In the last 60 days, 29 of our states have filed for Bitcoin reserve. That's from a standing start of 0. In other words, nobody did it 60 days ago. The pace of change that is about to come is going to shock everybody. It's going to shock the supply of these coins. It is going to drive prices to levels that nobody is discussing right now except Larry Fink, which is why he bought up the control of the things that he bought up control of. He knows what's coming. He knows what it's going to drive institutions to do. He knows what's going to happen when 50 states try to argue over who gets Bitcoin. When they all start buying Bitcoin is when everybody is going to be dumbfounded at the price it goes to.
Interesting. On that note, like by 2030, with all this stuff, if they do the ETS continue to get inflow, we get the sovereign wealth fund. I mean, where do you see Bitcoin being at in 2030? Let's say, like some kind of range.
Oh, if it's under 7 figures, it would shock me.
Gotcha. Love to hear that.
The thing I don't think people realize is, good ideas start out as stupid ideas. Imagine how dumb I looked at buying Bitcoin at $700. Believe me, it was 2015, and I looked pretty stupid. In fact, it was referred to as pet rocks more than once.
Yep.
Still is, by the way, at 100,000. It's still referred to as that way.
It's easy to see in crypto, like to this day, like people are still saying, "Oh, there's no, applications and stuff," which is fair. Right. I mean, compared to like the internet, because I know you lived through obviously the .com bubble and all that.
Sure.
Did you see the same kind of thing with the internet, where it took many years for there to be actually applications that everybody used? Or is crypto kind of playing out on like a slower pace? Like, how can you compare to what you saw with the internet?
No, it's happening at the same general relative speed. It will end up going faster. But remember when quote the internet and .com bubble came out, there were thousands of websites that don't exist anymore. There were thousands of web companies that don't exist anymore. That's where a lot of the unwarranted meme activity is going to go. That's the equivalent of, pets.com in 1999. There's a lot of stupid stuff happening. A lot of people are getting reamed for it. They're getting taken advantage of. And as you've noted many times in your broadcast, they got to focus on quality. They got to focus on patience. And they got to recognize that thousands of things will disappear while everybody else is getting rich. So it's a normal evolution of a new process.
Right on, man. Wow, you see why I love this guy, guys? He's fucking so smart, so
Great
insightful.
insights.
So Max, I wanna dive in a little bit into your background. Obviously, man, you can keep as much whatever private as you want, but I want to kind of get into like a general about your story. I mean, did you were your parents like into finance? Were you self taught? Like, where did you really find a passion for finance and
Yeah,
trading?
my parents got divorced when I was 10. My dad's no longer with us. He was a commander of a nuclear sub
Okay,
in the Navy.
wow.
Um, there was no financial background. My background was self-taught, oddly enough, and when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I raced ocean racing sailboats,
Okay,
and that was back when there was no mobile phones. So when you were out in the middle of the ocean and you couldn't see land, you really were by yourself. so so we raced a lot of ocean racing, and the owners of the boat that I was a crew on were lawyers and doctors, and all we would talk about is finance and investing. That's all we discussed. Um, so when I turned 21, one of the lawyers said, you need to come and teach our clients what you've taught us. And they put me up in an office and I started serving clients
okay,
in 1982.
okay. And do you have a like? Did you go to? Do you have get a degree in finance?
Did
Um,
not, did not. All done in executive courses at Wharton. I was um, I was a football player when I was a kid
okay,
and had a scholarship to go to Clemson.
wow,
And oddly enough, in the summer break between graduation and my physical, I got in a one car, very, very serious accident and was
oh
in a
no,
coma for a week and could not
wow,
qualify for my physical. So
Yeah.
I lost my scholarship.
damn, it's crazy. What
Yep.
position did you play? Nice, man. Love that. Right on. Okay, so back then in '82, it was all like paper trading, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 82 was archaic compared to what people do today. And remember in 82, the entire GDP of the United States was $1.8 trillion. Today it's 30.
Incredible.
So I think people are unable to recognize how large something will get based on mass adoption.
Hmm.
They're unable to wrap their arms around, because remember, it's kind of like, here's the way your brain works. If if you're if you're 10 years old and you're waiting for your 11th birthday, your brain knows what 10 years means, and getting to your 11th birthday is 10 more percent of everything your brain knows. Now,
Yeah.
now think of that for a minute, and then think if you're 50. You'll hear older people say, "Man, time flies. It's just flying by." Well, here's
Yeah.
why. When you're 50, your brain knows what 50 years is.
Yeah.
And to get to age 51, it's only 2% of your life.
Hmm.
So, so it seems faster. Well, the same way works with numbers. People would have been, well, certainly if someone was speaking to me in 1982 and I told them that in 43 years the Dow would be 45,000, they would think I was a moron, because nobody had ever experienced anything past 1,000. So they couldn't experience 2,000. They couldn't wrap their arms around Dow 5,000. because they had never lived it. So, likewise, when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, you're going to think I'm a moron. If you think of long periods of time as duplications, certainly as it relates to the stock market, the same math will continue to unfold, the same identical math. So if it took 43 years to go from 900 to 45,000, the very same multiple will take place in the next 43 years. It'll just keep rising.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's incredible. You think that's just assuming that we're in the same, you know, system that but yeah, that's
Well,
incredible.
I'll tell you the only thing that would stop it. I used to be able to say prior to 2020, when someone would say, well, what would go wrong? I would say, well, there's two things that could go wrong. We could have a global pandemic that kills off half the world, or we could have a nuclear war that destroys everything. And if we have that, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
So the answer now is we could have COVID on steroids and all
What
of us
about though, real
perish.
quickly before I forget? What about if they stopped QE, like they made all the world's currency? I've heard people, what's it called, theorize this. They made all the world current. They had one world currency, or they made all the world currencies like pegged to the same thing, where there's no debasement of currencies anymore.
Well,
Uh,
what you've just described is Bitcoin.
yeah, but like,
They did
the
that.
world governments? What if the world's governments though, and the central banks or whatever? And I think that's very unlikely that this happens because the whole system's built on this. But what if they like said, okay, we're going to do away with QE or whatever, and they're going to stop debasing the currencies. We're all going to be on one world currency or whatever, and then
Well, yeah.
Impossible.
My thoughts on this, and sorry to chime in. I think Max, your
go ahead.
thoughts are very valuable. But you know, to be fair, I don't think they can stop QE anytime soon. Just the
Yeah,
interest on the deficit on the debt, it's so high that they're gonna need to print it. Now, I think what Max mentioned is like the GDP growth is really going to be the most important aspect of this. I mean, you're seeing like Meta, Salesforce, Google laying off thousands of employees because what they are trying to do, whether they want to publicly say or not, is they're trying to replace them for AI, especially like mid-level engineers, right? So
Of course.
if AI is able to produce 2 or 3 times the work of a regular engineer or a regular employee for a fraction of the price, then you
Right.
get the productivity skyrocketing, right? And that's how you start to grow. Whether demographics don't help us because aging population, less kids and less people being born, you're gonna need some sort of like machine AI type of introduction in the economy to be able to kind of like expand the GDP growth way faster than the devaluation of the currency. That's how I see it, but I don't know what you guys think.
Right.
yeah,
Well, one way to look at it is right now the people that will create the growth of the planet for the next 50 years are already alive. So
Right.
so these are very, very long-term cycles when you speak of demographics. China, for example, and we defined this over a decade ago, and it's happened exactly the way we defined it. China destroyed themselves internally, and they've been trying very hard to fix something they cannot fix. Um, they they are in dreadful shape demographically. They have more 80-year-olds than 10-year-olds. They had a one-child policy for 28 years. They now have entire cities of people, millions and millions of people, who are marrying age men with no marrying age women. And it's because during the 28 years of a one-child policy, the parents kept the male. Now, no one thought ahead very well because you know what happens when you have a bunch of males and no females, you don't have any more kids.
Mhm.
So whether they allow it or not, they have completely crippled their ability to grow, which means they're going to have to fix that for a full 28 years before they catch back up. It is going to be an unmistakable error on their part. Everyone will know it as soon as they stop desperately trying to hide it. But therein lies the issue. While that happens, the U.S. is on the opposite end of that spectrum. We've never had more healthy demographic structure. The youth in our country is very, very strong. And as you just
Is
pointed
it,
out, is driving
Max? Is it
technology shifts that will change everything.
would you say the growth of the young demographics in the U.S. is based on internal kind of like demographics or like immigrations
Well,
mostly?
it's always been a mix of the two. In recent years, we have overdone one of those channels to the point where we're stressing elements we probably didn't think about. But the U.S. has always had immigration. You could count on
Right.
a few million people a year arriving. 20 in a couple of years. I don't know that that's a reasonable expectation to continue. In fact, I'm pretty sure it will not continue.
Right on. This is some amazing conversations and like great, addition to the stream. A little bit of a vibe shift. I do want to go uh,
Yep.
talk a little bit about crypto regulation because again, Max has seen different the .com stuff, all this different stuff, and how regulation can affect these industries. Him and I have talked a little bit on the side about this, but um, the crypto regulatory stuff, you see this, everything is net positive and that's going to push the space forward. Do you think that they really are going to very likely follow through with everything and make uh you know make it this a positive environment for crypto moving forward? And then last question I would say is how long do you think this is going to take? Is it going to be a few year thing? Do you think they're going to do this stuff in the next 6 months? What are your views on all that?
Uh, well, I think you get indicators along the way of how the pathway will go, and some of the things that I would point out for people as maybe helpful markers is over the past 3 or 4 years, Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink have said, uh, you know, crypto is rat poison. It's useless. There's no value to it. And today, in a matter of 2 years, quietly, Larry Fink will become the driver of BlackRock being possibly the first or second largest owner of the assets. They will drive their clients. They will capture revenue flows. He spoke badly about it until he owned enough of it to make a fortune. And now he's got all the pieces to do that. If you wonder what our government is going to think about crypto, one fascinating element might be that the new head of the FBI is an owner of crypto ETFs to the tune of $150,000, according to his disclosure sheet from yesterday. So if you have the head of the FBI being an owner of crypto, my hunch is that regulation is going to be light at best, but definitive to allow growth.
Okay, so it's this guy, right? I forgot.
Yeah.
I've seen this guy. Yeah, you don't want to
Yep.
mess with this guy for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, well, 115K on the BlackRock ETF. That's awesome. Um, so, and then I know that was like a multi-part question, so I
Yep.
apologize. But the as far as the regulation, I know I've seen something with David Sachs recently, who's the crypto czar on a
Yep.
podcast that he did, and they said that in the next 6 months they want to really go forward with a lot of this stuff. I think he was specifically talking about maybe the what's it called, the sovereign wealth fund. My
Yep.
question to you is: do you think this is going to be something that is pretty quick, and we will start to see a lot of these clarity like this year? Or is this like a multi-year thing where these laws and stuff go into effect? Or
Well, it'll happen in layers, but remember they've already disbanded the forces that would get you in trouble. So they're gonna spend 6 months to a year defining what's going to happen, laying the map out for everybody, because all of the corporate sponsors are waiting. Everybody is making major investment. The president is obviously pro crypto. Countries are running over themselves to try to get their laws organized to own crypto. Look, you're gonna watch this go from, gosh, is this a good idea, to almost a competitive landscape of who fills up their cryptocurrency reserves first. I mean, if 50 states in one country are going to argue over it, imagine what all the countries are going to do. I, it's ludicrous to me that people are fearful of the pathway of Bitcoin. The thing I think they may be fearful about is their ability to be patient. If you don't have an ability to be patient and you're scared of movement in the markets, then you probably won't make it, because you can't do it if you cannot be patient and you get wrecked by volatility. Volatility is a scary sounding word. It's just price movement. That's all it is. You have to keep your mind focused on where it's going. Remember, we have a saying, it's not about what's now, it's about what's next.
Yep.
So when you're worried about what's now, you have to make yourself say, yeah, but if all this stuff is happening to scare people, what would happen next? And that's what you need to keep your mind focused on.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so you said the regulatory stuff will probably come out more in layers.
Well,
Now,
you'll get a year of, hey guys, this is all the stuff we're going to do, and then you're going to get a year of doing it all, and then you're going to get a year of tweaking it all. So, they're going to run out and get as much done as possible, because look, the whole administration is crypto friendly. Everybody in important positions is crypto friendly. It would be literally impossible to not have a good outcome.
okay, right on. And then the sovereign wealth fund, I think a lot of people who aren't in the TradFi realm really don't know what that is. And me included, I've read a lot about it. But what do you think the sovereign wealth fund specifically means for Bitcoin crypto? I think you were telling me you think they set it up specifically for a big reason is for the crypto thing.
Oh yeah,
Talk a little bit about that.
because to have a treasury in the United States of Bitcoin takes a law. Everybody knows that Democrats hate Republicans and Republicans hate Democrats, and everybody in DC hates each other. It's been that way since the beginning of time, but because media is so suspect at this point, it feels like it's worse. The reality is that it's going to take a while to get the Treasury Department investing in Bitcoin. So what they did, smartly so, is they created the Sovereign Wealth Fund, because the president can tell you whatever he wants to tell you about the Sovereign Wealth Fund. It's beneficial to the United States. It is owned by taxpayers, and it benefits the country. So that gives you a whole lot more leeway than laws related to Treasury resources.
Okay, right on. For Loco, you usually have great questions. You anything on the regulatory side, like anything on that? Any questions for Max?
I don't know, man. To be honest, what is your view? Do you have any thoughts on ETFs this year? Do you think Solana will have an ETF this year, Max?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will.
You think so?
Every major layer one is going to end up being part of an ETF, at least the top 10 or 15. I mean, remember,
do you think
guys,
it's going to happen this year or over the next,
No, I think it'll be this year. Yeah.
Really?
Remember, once Wall Street figures out there's a way to make money, they're a bulldozer. They'll just throw everything they can together and capture as much inflow as you possibly can send them. So they're going to give you as many products as possible to capture inflows.
What are your thoughts on I think it was the record short position on Ethereum ETF. Do you have any thoughts, or have you been able to pay attention
Record
to
short
that?
position. Well, let me tell
Yeah,
you.
on Ethereum.
Let me tell you some things that may help. Um, um, Commodities are a big thing around the world. In the United States, the CFTC regulates commodity markets. One of the
Mm,
things that the CFTC requires is all institutional players in the commodity business have to disclose what their position is every week. And every Tuesday, a report is delivered showing long or short positions in every commodity, from soybeans to steel. Okay.
mm,
Everybody knows what the big boys are doing. And what you want to realize is that entire branches of wealth have been created from that report from a contrary perspective, meaning if you find yourself at a record short position, you have to say, well, okay, so if I'm now at a record short position, are there more buyers or sellers left? You'd find that history proves that if you bought each time that a commodity in the United States reached a record short position, you would spend a good part of the next 6 months to a year embroiled in a rally that is destroying all of the short positions
Love
and
that.
turning
yeah.
them all
So
into
you're saying
buyers.
the shorts are about to get wrecked, is what you're saying?
Yes, that would be the bet that one would make in the long term.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I love that insight. Now I wanna move on. I don't know. This is just a thought in my head, and my whole kind of theme. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're kind of getting is I'm trying to see get Max's experience in the TradFi world and what he's seen with regulatory stuff and just in general and kind of compare it a little bit to our world and kind of what we can glean. Now I know meme coins, which you're big into now recently as well, which is super cool to see. Um, I know like penny stocks back in the day were like a super thing back in the .com. What would you say penny stocks were like? What year were they like at the peak where a lot of people were trading them and just kind of
You know, pennies are bad news in the market, much like a lot of the people that are getting rugged in the meme
yeah
business.
yeah yeah
You know, it's just it's an equivalent nature. It's sadly a fraud that is implicit in every new wave of financial well-being. There are always, excuse me, there are always the scumbags that are going to destroy people that are not aware of how much fraud can take place. Um, it's sad, but it is a reality of every new financial wave. Um, Penny stocks used to be boilerplate driven, or excuse me, boiler room driven. In fact, I think there was a movie called Boiler Room with Ben Affleck, but um, they had their period. They really got cracked down on. Guys went to jail, but everybody who ever bought a penny stock, well, 99.9% of anybody who ever bought a penny stock made no money. So there will be that channel in the coin business. There will be that group of people. Um, like I said, it's sad, but it human nature is human nature,
yeah
and you know when you tell a guy that he can buy a penny stock for a half a cent and it might go to a nickel, that's too hard to that's too hard not to do for some people. That's a gambling mentality, not an investing mentality.
yeah. And I feel like back penny stocks back in the day before. I mean, people were trading them online back in the '90s, early 2000s, but like the barrier to entry now with crypto is just so easy.
Yeah. Well,
Probably
that's
even
part of
more.
the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
That will work itself out, and it'll work itself out because all those guys will get destroyed.
Yeah. Do you think the real quickly last thing, like, do you think the government will like crack down on pump fund, or anything, or like, do you think they'll kind of just let this run free? Because I know
They're
a lot of
they're
younger
going to
kids.
put they're going to put rules out there that you know impinge on some people's efforts. But at the end of the day, that's what we're going to want. We're going to want this cleaned up. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to help everybody if some of the garbage gets cleaned up. It's not going to harm anybody except the guys that are ripping people off. Then they're going to have to go find somebody else to rip off.
Right
But
on.
but I don't think it's going to hurt anybody that's in the business legitimately to get rid of the skank in the world.
Right on. And for those of you who just hopped on, I just retweeted the stream, so I think I see some people hopping on. We're talking to my boy Crypto Max here, who has 40 years, 4 decades in the TradFi world. Bought Ethereum at $8, Bitcoin under 1,000. Just talking a little bit about crypto regulation and how what's going to kind of go on, and we will go over memes and a couple other things in a little bit. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going on. The X chat is not allowing us to have a live chat today. We will have that fixed for next week. But if you do have any questions for Max or myself, feel free to either comment on the actual post of this stream. Two, you can DM me on Telegram, or you can comment on the Boss Man Calls Telegram as well. We have something in the Boss Man Call. Someone said, where'd it go? This is super interesting. Way better than my BS consulting work, Dimitri Rezin. So appreciate you for being on, Dimitri. Mike says, amazing stream so far. Great Friday one. Yeah, I agree, Mike. Appreciate you for being on. And then, yeah, we'll look at coins and
Matt,
all a little bit.
Do you have a Twitch account, or do you have a Twitter account people can follow you at? Do you have a Twitter?
Yeah, it's a long word. It's a word we created. It's at Demogronomics.
Oh no.
It's a blend of. In fact, you posted one of my comments in last week's note. You put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Wait, how do you? Wait, what's okay? I see Max Crypto right here. I think you guys can also type in Max Crypto 6 and it'll come up, but I have it on the screen here, right here.
There it is.
Yeah, so this is Max. Yeah, he's just starting to get the tweeting now here. Amazing insights like you see from this stream. So definitely gonna get him tweeting as well. So yeah, definitely shoot him a follow. And yeah, this has been crazy insightful so far. Let's see.
I think what people want to realize is, imagine for a minute, and maybe this is the only value I can really deliver, is if you bought Ethereum at $6, would you really be worried if someone says to you, yeah, but there's a record short position? I mean, there's been a record short position 14 different times from $6. So
Yeah.
you gotta take all that garbage and let it move in here and then out here, one ear and out the other, and don't be swayed by it if you believe in what you're doing. If you believe that cryptocurrency is a structural, soon permanent change in the way money is dealt with around this planet, then you shouldn't be worried about a record short, number 19 on the list, record short position in Ethereum.
Gotcha.
Let me tell you how record short positions get erased. They do not get erased by people taking profit. They
Yeah.
get erased by getting pushed out of the market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know what that. Sorry, I thought I was getting a notification. Okay, so yeah. Also, we haven't talked about it too much on stream yet today, but Trump moving up. Not surprised after this. I know a lot of people, especially have bought at the top, have been eating a 50-60% correction. And it obviously did create peak hype temporarily for meme coins. But for me, just with meme coin conditions going to improve soon, I truly believe that with the majors moving up, meme coin conditions will improve soon. The Trump coin, the president's coin, with all the resources they have, with a few simple tweets that could send it higher, all this different things is really an obvious play to me. And I understand people who bought the top might be kind of whatever, but I think this, to me, especially after this consolidation that we got for 10 days. I've been buying slowly here as it was going down. Took a bit of profit, maybe 30-40% of my position up here when I saw it kind of double topping or consolidating. But I do expect especially if they supported a few tweets, few integrations, maybe who knows, maybe they burn a bit of the supply. Like there's a lot of stuff they can do. Chart wise, everything all that said, I do think there's a good chance that Trump moves up here, and if things go up, could very likely move back to all time highs. That's what we've seen with these big mind share coins after their first big corrections. A lot of the time they'll go to new highs. So obviously that have to be in crazy meme coin conditions where the majors are healthy and all that. But I think it's very possible. Um, Max, you have some Trump, right? I think you bought
Yeah.
during the day.
Yep.
Right on. What do you make of all Trump making his own coin and stuff? Would you have ever thought that
I
happened?
didn't
Like,
think I didn't think he'd do that, but I think he probably. I'm going to tell you, I think he probably did it. I spent a decade in New York and met Trump several times in just different things. But um, uh, I think what people want to recognize is there are higher odds that he did this as a brand element, not as a hey, I have a meme coin.
yeah,
In other words, I don't I don't think he cares at all
yeah,
about the fact that he has a meme coin. I think he wanted to show the general public that I am I am telling you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to make cryptocurrency a part of our lives. So how do you do that? Well, for the wider audience, you don't create a layer one coin, you create a meme coin, right? I mean, it just that's gonna that's gonna send a message to the widest audience that you support their endeavors.
right on. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense to me too. I don't think obviously I think they're gonna take some profits off of it, especially people involved. I'm sure there's people they have to pay and all that, but I generally think too that's more of a symbolic thing, and probably to help his sons and stuff as well, to make some money. But I don't necessarily think that it's a play of like how can we extract hundreds of millions of dollars out of this,
Yeah, no.
or more
Yeah.
so just a symbolic thing, like you were saying. With that being said, like I said, there's so many things they could do with meme coin conditions going well. I think very likely this is the bottom here, and we could see some acceleration in the coming days. But what's up, Danksy and for Loco? You still with me? I know we've been going on a little bit of an interview. Um,
No,
I
you're
wish
good. I was I had to step out for a second. Did I miss all the altcoins or what are we?
No, we've been just mostly talking about regulation and stuff with Max, and just talked a little bit about Trump. But I think we'll head into some memes and stuff. Man, I wish we had this live chat so we could see what the people want to see. But we'll just look at some stuff. Like for me, been buying a lot of the same stuff. I think the strong community coins that have been through these multiple crashes before are the ones that are have the best shot at running and running hard. MLG, I don't have a position in yet. I'm thinking about buying some after this bit of correction, but just seeing over the last few days of people rating my comments and outside the whole thing that went down with the banks and all them, I think it has a very strong community, and for that reason, I think it could very likely bottom out here. Especially with some consolidation. I think it's been consolidating for 3 or 4 days here. Coins like this, the ones that just have like diehard communities that like still are care about it through these corrections, I think are the strongest bets. For me, SPX, Giga, Mog, if you've been on these streams, these are my coins I've been buying. The biggest no brainers, the ones that I think have this is a Mog. Have the best shot at getting to that 5-10 billion um, market cap ranges due to those supply dynamics, all that stuff that we've been talking about. So yeah, I think SPX looks very good right now. Giga, same kind of thing. Really good corrective, chart patterns. Giga now down like 55, 60%. I don't see it going much lower here with the majors. Very, very likely finishing up their corrections as well. So Giga, SPX, Mog might be the best risk to reward slash one of them all, just due to it being down about 60, 70% now. Is this it? Why do I have to scroll all the way down to find the ETH one? But yeah, Mog in a, what is it, 75% correction now. It's survived one, two, three being the biggest, most drawn out one. 70% plus corrections over the last year and a half. As again, once everything, conditions get a little bit better, I think Mog no brainer to at least go back to all time highs. 5 to 10 billion over the next year, I think is a, you know very doable. So yeah, that would only be half of Pepe. With conditions strong, let's say we get a lot of normies, finally start to come in with the FTX payments starting to come back, all that. I think 5 to 10 billion for Mog is very doable, and does have an even higher ceiling, if things do get crazy. So I think these ones under a billion are just the most no-brainer buys. You can say a lot about these things about the AI stuff as well, and I want to hear for Loco what he's kind of been looking at, if anything, if he's added anything. But just like the high mindshare ones, AI XBTs, the virtuals, the goats, the fart coin probably being the most obvious one. The ones with a lot of mindshare communities, I think a lot of those will recover and have strong runs. So AI XBT, yeah, virtual. All these are in deep corrections, but still looking pretty corrective. The one that kind of just shocked us all, I think, is Zero Bro. The fact of how much mind share it had, and how impulsive and nasty it looks on the chart. That doesn't mean it doesn't recover, but virtual. Um, Now, for Loco, have you, the last week, or last time we talked about this, have you been adding to any of this AI stuff, or kind of just sitting on your hands?
Yeah, I've been adding. I think I mentioned on Tuesday,
Yeah.
AI 16C is the one that I added the most this week, just because I think it's one of the strongest out there. When it comes to protocols, and then Arc. So those two are the ones that I've been adding, and then I already had a position in Farcoin, which it's kind of like it's well over in profit, but it's still hoping it bounces a little bit more. Those are the only names I've bought. I didn't want to go too crazy just because I'd rather buy when the market shows a little bit more strength. Although we're seeing positive signs that perhaps we'd reach at least a local bottom on some of these AI tokens. So yeah.
Right on. I love that. Yeah, I've been added. I like added the goat, some fart coin, like some of the obvious
How's the
ones.
fart coin look right now?
Yeah. Oh, Yoni, what's up, brother? How you guys doing? Good to see you. We're
I
just
know,
having
bro. No, I've been here for a minute. I've been listening to Max. It's been really cool to have him on.
right on. Yeah, I haven't been checking the screen because I don't want the hall of mirrors, but I appreciate you. I'm glad you're on. But yeah, this has been a super insightful. Now, the what were we just fart coin? What'd you say about fart, Yoni?
No, I said goat. You said you added to goat. I said goat probably took the biggest hit. I feel like out of like the big out of the big guys.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just that the story, the origin story, and all that. Maybe it takes a little bit more to recover than the other ones, but yeah, added slowly to this. I think fart coin is probably the most obvious one with the mind
Yeah,
share and all
I would
that.
agree. There's one AI coin that I've been looking at. I haven't gotten a position yet, but I've been mentioning it to you over and over again. So I feel like we should mention it to people. Snai. It's just been showing strength versus a lot of other things. Still kind of feels like a sleeper. If you look at like the mind
Oh
share,
wow.
if you look at the mind share list, right? And I've been talking to you about this since like I'm not sure. It did a
Yeah.
quick dip to 12 and then been absolutely ripping and holding. I
Hmm.
think it's like top 5 or 7 in mind share and still under 100 million. So I just can't, for some reason, can't keep stop like tracking this coin. And if we get a little bit of a pump, I might rotate some profits or something into this. But this
Yeah.
one is definitely one to keep your eyes on, I think.
No, you're totally right. This chart looks amazing. Um, you know, you, you know more about it than me, but it's just crazy to see this, this strength into the other, everything else going on. But what I would say is I love this chart because you see right now, this is pretty much this correction I had from January to February, pretty
Yeah,
much is what every other AI coin looks like right now. The ones that do recover are going to look exactly like this, right? They're going to have this deep correction, and then either with some consolidation or kind of out of nowhere, that they're going to pump out of the corrective channel, close above the prior bounce high, and then it's just off to the races. So I think this
right.
is a reflection of what a lot of these other AI XBT, AI 16Z, all these are going to look like
So a quick question to you then on that topic. Like if we're now watching stuff bounce, right? Especially like just being particular with AI because they're newer, right? You haven't seen them survive like these big corrections just yet. Some of them this is like their first real correction.
Uh-huh.
Um if things aren't bouncing as much, right? Like I feel like a good example might be ALK, where things kind of have been getting a little green, right? But they haven't been correcting as hard. Just from your kind of expert opinion, would you look at that and have that be like an indicator kind of going into the next bull where you might say, okay, maybe this one isn't looking as pumpy, it's not bouncing as hard, maybe I should take some profits out of this or take some money de-risk out of this and put it in something that looks like it's showing more strength? Or do you think these things are kind of cyclical and they're not so indicative, how they bounce isn't so indicative of how they'll perform, I guess is the question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say not to focus too much on a few day. Like if something bounces first, right? Like okay, that means whatever. I think what is really indicative is like the like SNI when it's showing strength when everything else isn't showing strength. That's
Right.
what I really take into account, and then that's why I'm so always been bullish on Giga and SPX, but why I have even more conviction in this thesis that the time in the game and the supply distribution is because as we can see, they held way stronger than everything else, and that's because of the this diamond handed holders and how they're not. This is not the first thing they're selling, all that stuff. So that's a great question. I think what I taken more into account is the stuff that's showing strength or at least holding during the bearish or the corrective periods.
Right,
Now,
because it had a pretty nasty correction. It just popped out of it quick. Like you saw,
yeah,
it corrected to about like 12 million, but then popped out and showed way more strength. Like if you could pull up the ALK chart, you saw that that fell from like 240. And just as an example between the two, and then we can move on. I don't mean to hold anyone up, but do you see this one showing a little bit less strength, still pretty corrective at the top, like lack of consolidation, but kind of has me worried, right? They're still shipping updates. The team isn't doxed, but they're always shipping updates. They're always kind of like updating what's going on, but the chart's kind of scaring me.
yeah, and I would say this is lack of consolidation, but also kind of a double top, uh,
Right,
which because it kind of barely went above the prior high. So this technically is a lot of consolidation right here, about a month.
right.
Uh, but with that being said, it doesn't look too like it's down. Okay, it's down about 80-90%, but there's been bounces. What I think is like Alk had a lot of mind share. I think
Yeah,
what's going to end up happening is it is going to bounce, but the question is, does it have enough strength where it's going to,
go
fly
back to all-time high.
highs?
Right.
That also, yeah, you want to maybe take into account. But again, I would say to anybody listening and to answer your question, don't be hyper focused so much on a few days, right? Because that could just be a wash. It could be for 2 or 3 days or a week, it doesn't show strength, and all of a sudden the second week it takes off. So don't hyper focus so much on such a short period. But I do like that concept, and I take more into account what's showing strength during corrective periods versus kind of what bounces in the short term.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Of course, bro. Always love your insights. Chime in whenever. Um, but yeah, nice to see a little bit of everything else moving up. I wish we had this chat so we could see. But I mean, kind of the AI stuff. I think the name of the game is not to overcomplicate it right now. I think the higher volume stuff, will have good conditions again, where the lower the trenches type stuff will thrive, and there'll be a little bit more follow through. But I think there's so many big names right now at 70, 50 to 70 to 80% corrections right now, that don't need to overcomplicate it. Accumulate those coins. If you don't have any dry powder, just hold on to what you do have. Maybe learn from to have maybe more dry powder, take profits more aggressively next
Yeah.
time, etc. Which I think a lot of us can learn from. But yeah, I think a lot of people are calling what we're seeing a rotation market. Again, they're hyper focusing on. I'm sure Max can attest to this. They're hyper focusing on a few month or a few year period and kind of trying to conflate it or say that this is we're in a rotation market now. It's really these corrective periods happen. During these corrective periods, everything's super wonky and there's not a lot of follow through. But when we exit these corrective periods and the majors start to do well and stuff again, the people who bought and hold these good coins through the 80% corrections, added to them if they could, are the ones who see usually the biggest gains, going out. I think we're going to, right now it is kind of a quote unquote little bit of a rotational market, but it's really just a corrective period. But holders really do win when stuff is strong. Obviously, holders are the right stuff, but
Real quick, guys, I just want to let you know, if you don't mind me interrupting,
Of course.
it just hit the wires that the state of Wisconsin's retirement board has announced $321 million in Bitcoin.
What?
Now, keep in mind, that's a retirement fund.
Right.
So everybody's been chatting about countries and states. They haven't even started discussing the trillions of dollars of retirement money.
Right. People start moving all their retirement money over to digital assets, into crypto, into Bitcoin.
At the end of the day, money as we know it will change. It will
Right.
not it will not be paper anymore. We won't have coins. We won't have physical things that we spend. Everything will happen on our phone. And it'll be, 0.000001 of something. We'll 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 realize too late, for those that are afraid, that the number will get much larger than anybody is understanding it. It must, in order to capture all the wealth. In order to hold the wealth, it will have to be an 8-figure number at least. At least.
Makes sense. Amazing, amazing. I'm seeing a few comments in the Telegram. Dimitri asks thoughts on Sui becoming the next Solana in terms of market cap. What is Sui's market cap right now? Let's see. Solana is at 99, right under 100, and Sui is at 11, so it's still a 10x away. Yeah, I mean, I don't see my base case is I don't think Sui's going to get to Solana numbers, right? But I think it will continue to do well. I think stuff like Avalanche and other stuff might, you know, go up higher or have more of an acceleration from here, but I do expect Sui to continue to do well. I like the corrective chart pattern that it's in now, versus kind of just being up only prior to this. So I do like the chart. I do think that Sui does continue to do well. Now, does it get to Solana numbers? I don't think there's usage or anything too much to warrant that. Obviously, Solana is
Yeah, I agree.
the meme chain, and obviously other chains will get some love, but like I think for the most part it's going to stay mostly on Solana, and the next Trump or whatever big celebrity, whoever does it, will likely do it on Sol, etc. So while I do think Sui does well, I don't think it's necessarily going to get to be the next Solana unless something changes where warrants that, where there's a lot of usage on Sui or whatever.
I agree. If anything, if any chain looks like it might have some meme action competing with Solana, if any, it looks like BNB and CZ might want some of that action, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, people forget that like BSC was the meme chain
Right.
last time, so it's weird. They kind of changed their branding away from Binance Smart Chain to like BNB and different stuff. But it's interesting to see CZ still supporting it or talking about it. But yeah, I haven't checked the broccoli chart.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, the PvP was literally like something I've never seen in my entire life yesterday. Like, it hurt your head to even like type in the first 3 letters of this thing.
Is
There
it
were
just
so many options of them too.
There was
Did you buy
150.
it?
I've
Yeah.
been sitting on my hands the past 3 weeks. It's been pretty brutal. Like, I should have been taking profits. People can learn from me. And I'm in great coins, but they all took hard corrections. So I've really just been sitting on my hands trying to like not make any mistakes. But I've been watching everything, and yesterday was pretty, there've been a couple big launches, to be fair, even in this rotational market. They just can't really hold. So it'd be
exactly?
interesting to see if broccoli can hold, because it has like CZ. I think like one of his, I'm not sure if this is the token, this is the broccoli that took off, but I know for a fact one of them had 80% of the supply like locked up, and it was this one buddy of CZ's. They have like photos together and stuff. So maybe that's the one that ended up going. If it did, then there's a little bit of a backbone to it, but I'm not sure. There was just so many of them.
Is this one that I have pulled up kind of the main one, or is it?
I'm not sure. I could get the CA.
Let's see. I'm trying to look at the biggest market cap. Oh, there's a few of them that are right at the same.
Full Send also dropped, and John Shahidi, the president of Full Send, dropped the CA on their actual website. So it's like there are guys now between Portnoy, Full Send in the space. Like, there are people now in the Aiden and Banks really like speaking up a lot more. I think that there's like a lot more going on in the space now. So I think you're right. When it comes out of this correction, there's going to be a lot more catalysts everywhere. So hopefully people start holding. I'm really curious to see what happens then, honestly. When
Yeah,
we
I
come
don't
out
think
of a
I don't think people
like
aren't holding. It's just a these corrective phases is going to happen. It's really easy to make like seem like the dynamics have changed, but just like every time we come out of these corrective periods, just like in August, people who are accumulating Giga, SPX, Mog, all that, you know, got 5 to 20 X's. It's going to be the same thing here, but uh, whose phone's ringing?
no man.
But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
whoever, it's all good. Um, but yeah, just like every time we come out of these things, like it is a holders market. I will say, uh, after August, we only got like 2 or 3 months of follow through, and then Trump
Right.
happened, whatever. I think to Yoni's point, there will be a period here like we gotten in last cycles where it will be more up only. Hopefully, for 6 months plus or whatever, with the big corrections in between. But to be honest, I think these bigger, more drawn out corrections are just a sign that at least Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol have kind of getting more mature.
And
Um,
what do you think about these guys in the space? Like we haven't really spoken about it, like Portnoy in the space or the last couple of days.
You need that because
yeah,
I don't.
I think hey, Max, do you mind muting? I think he's out of the room, so no worries.
Yeah.
Um,
I can mute him. You're good.
Perfect. But yeah, so yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit on the last one too. I think overall there's good and bad of everything. I think
Yeah.
overall though, having someone like Portnoy, who I think being transparent and you can say what you want about his approach, but just being transparent about the whole thing is why I think people aren't on his ass and why he has gotten a lot of like people supporting him. I think overall, someone like Portnoy, who has a background with the day trading, who has all that different stuff, is very net positive for crypto and bringing people in. Say what you want about the actual coin launches, whatever. I respect the fact that he didn't, at least not yet, didn't just launch his coin, whatever, and 5 days later it's gone. He kind of adopted an already existing coin. Maybe that wasn't the best approach because it went down and people sold it off. But overall, to answer your question, Yoni, I think someone like Portnoy, for overall crypto adoption, is very net positive in bringing people in because people could have gotten wrecked on Jail Stool, just
Yeah.
like people got wrecked on Doge when they first got in. But a lot of those people stuck around. They learned about Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, other stuff, NFTs, and they make a bunch of money in it, and it changes their life. So to answer your question, I think it's very net positive for crypto adoption as a whole. Coin to coin, whatever, it's up in the air. But yeah, overall, very net positive.
I agree.
Brad, I'm surprised you weren't so bullish on Sui that I couldn't flip the ETH or I couldn't get to Sol's
Solana.
market cap.
Really? Oh yeah,
Why?
I think you can get to Sol's market cap. I don't think you can flip Sol, but it can
I
get to
mean,
the
Sol's
market cap.
current market cap for sure.
What's the
But
usage though? Like what's going on the Sui chain? I know it's fast and I know it's like an up only coin right
They're
now.
doing a bunch of like investments into startups right now. They're pretty active on the startups, the scene, Miston Labs. They're just new. That's why there's no one using it. They're just like it launched 2 years ago, probably.
I mean, I know the network is fast. I've used the network.
It's
Like,
really fast.
yeah, it's
It's
definitely fast and simple.
yeah. But I mean, crypto is just everyone's congregating in one spot. So
Right.
Sol mostly. There's some Bitcoin maxis and then ETH. So
yeah, I mean, to answer your question, that's a good point, Danksy. I do think Sui gets to Sol's current market cap probably this bull run, but in that time, Sol will have also gone up a ton, um, and it's probably in the multiple hundreds of billions as well. 714 getting the most support.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Look at Max taking on some business calls right now on stream.
love that. Look at this guy. Love it. But yeah, I mean, full send definitely interesting. That John, I saw Steiny or whatever tweeted about it too. I haven't seen Kyle or anybody else. It'd be interesting to see if they continue to support it. Maybe they're interesting what happened to the meta card and all that. I'd expect if the NFTs were to market were to come up again, we get that second NFT bull, that I'm sure they would probably have to rectify that situation too, or like kind of put go back to that. So I don't know. Maybe the meta cards might be like a fucking crazy, insane buy right now. But
You think Yuga's gonna produce a good game, the shooter game?
see, I'm not a gamer. I'm not. I don't like. I can't really have a crazy insight in any of that. It is taking a long time, and it's interesting that they weren't able to get 1,500 people on. the last time. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't know shit about gaming and development and all that. I hope they do. I think it's great for the space if they do, and it could really propel them to whatever. But I mean, like for Loco was saying earlier, it's probably really expensive, and I hope they make it happen. Hope that people like the game and all that. Um, but damn, how long has it been since the other side meant? Like 3 years?
I think it was like 2 years.
Okay.
I think 2 years. Max, I muted you. You have to unmute, I think, to chat. That's why. Like physically. You
Are you able
good?
to mute him?
It's in the bottom row.
You see, like right next to the camera.
Yeah.
Say something, Max.
He's still
So-
muted, I think.
Damn.
Oh no. Here. I sent a request to you. Does that work?
Where would the request go? Right at the bottom of his screen.
Yeah, he should be able to physically unmute himself.
Zion Trevor says I'm live with you guys. Amazing stream. Appreciate you joining all the way from Africa. That's awesome. Bilal says I'm here. What's up, Bilal? Some guy just wrote something in Russian. I don't know what the hell that says, but shout out to you. Lou
There,
says,
I got it. I got it. You should be good, Max.
someone says, what time period is crypto most active? I don't know. I don't really. As far as the trenches go, that might matter. I don't know. Yoni might be able to tell you that, but I think overall, I don't know. I don't really pay attention to what's happening in each time zone. I think as things heat up, in the U.S. for crypto adoption and meme coin trading again, I would assume that the U.S. is very influential.
Yeah, for sure. On the meme with the meme coin stuff, for sure, it's U.S. time zone. I would
Gotcha.
say New York time zone is probably best.
Gotcha. LB says amazing stream so far. Shout out to LB. I appreciate you. We were talking a little bit earlier. He says hope Max comes on to share insight more often. What he has to say makes it easy to hold. I know, right?
I agree. Max, you got to come on more often. Legend.
Yeah, no, Max and I have been talking. We're going to start to do regular streams and the VCs on here as well. Obviously, you guys are going to be on there as well. But yeah, no, it's a great. I love how the contrast between the meme coin stuff and then Max can bring his insight on all this. So I 100% agree. We got a nice little team going here. Dimitri Rojan says, afternoon, y'all. What's up, Rojan? So yeah, I think we're going to start to see stuff accelerate here pretty quickly as long as Bitcoin can close above 105, which I think might happen pretty quickly here. Again, you could argue this is an inverse head and shoulders forming as well with this little peak behind here, but that's some super more in-depth stuff. Consolidation again from holding this low from 90 for what is that, 12 days now, almost 2 weeks, is a really is very strong, and I think this base is going to lead to at least a bounce. We'll see if it's the bounce that takes us to all-time high, or if somehow we get one more low in the channel. But I think very likely with everything going on, this will be that bounce that takes us to all-time highs, and that again, I've said this a few times, but 105K daily candle close will be kind of the last trigger for me. So yeah, so then we wait. NFTs, nothing really been going on this week, right? Besides the Doodles launch or Doodles announcement of the coin.
Yeah, and then the OpenSea.
The what?
OpenSea.
Yeah. Token. I'm still trying to get Max unmuted. I don't know what's going on.
Is it showing that he's muted?
Yeah.
Man, maybe
You might have
Max
to just
try to come in and
re-log
out.
in. Yeah, you probably have to come back in, like get out and come back in.
Yeah, the OpenSea one. Hopefully, for everybody's sanity, I hope OpenSea really benefit or rewards historical users or whatever.
Oh, that works every time.
There we go. What's up, Max?
All right.
How you doing, brother?
Good, man.
So yeah, OpenSea. I hope they reward the historical users. I'm sure you guys who we're trading a lot in 2021 probably get a pretty nice stimmy.
Yeah. Hopefully they make the wallet checker easier than Magic Eden.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass.
That shit was really bad.
I wonder when they're gonna drop it. Hopefully, the next few months. But they're probably trying to time the market,
Yeah.
which is good. I respect it. But yeah, it seems like all these NFT projects too are launching a coin. I think they're gonna need most airdrops need a distribution period anyway, like a washout. So I assume Doodles will do the same thing, and then we'll see the ones that come out of the ashes, and the ones that they're gonna have to provide some type of utility in their ecosystem and all that to get it going. But I think Luca and Luca and good builders like that will figure it out. Um, but yeah, Azuki, another one too. I think the NFT industry is just wide open right now. I think everything's kind of back down to those August or November lows, and I think we've talked about it on the stream a lot. But I think we're just waiting for some type of catalyst, right? Whether it be GTA 6 or something like that. Maybe I mean maybe Max could speak to it too. Maybe there's some type of announcement where NFTs, regulatory wise, or something that really unlocks the potential for NFTs and stuff too. That really gets the bull run going. I think we're just kind of waiting for something like that, but I do expect that to happen this year. Um,
I think you're going to get a lot of NFT business going with real world assets.
okay.
Once RWA becomes a normal process, and things like office buildings and shopping centers and what may be every real world asset starts being wrapped into an NFT, which my hunch is the Wall Street firms will drive that pretty hard. Um, it'll be a normal thing to have an NFT. Everybody will have an NFT.
So yeah, that makes sense. I think the adoption of NFT technology in general will make those early projects or the ones that are
I mean,
speculative right now very
think of
important.
a think if you're an institutional. Well, for example, think of all the pension funds that own all the real estate in this country. Imagine that instead of the 9 inches of documents that are required to tell somebody you own 14% of 1000 Madison Avenue. Imagine if it's all electronic and you own a digitized portion of an NFT that's on the blockchain that owns the title to that property.
Right on. Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, you won't ever own real estate the same way again, ever.
damn, that's interesting. So the RWA stuff that BlackRock's talking about,
Yeah.
uh, that includes have they implicitly like that includes NFTs?
Oh yeah. Well, an
Yeah,
NFT is the vehicle that will own all
yeah,
RWAs.
Yeah,
So,
no, that makes sense to me. But like, has BlackRock implicitly like talked about the NFT
oh
technology?
yeah,
yeah.
oh, all of them.
That's what Ondo does, right?
Yeah, all of them are. Yeah, you'll find that 5 years from now there will be nobody will go buy a shopping center. It
You'll
will.
just go on OpenSea and buy it, or what?
You'll
Yeah.
just go.
Buy
You'll
it, pop
go
on Magic
to
Eden.
yeah. You'll go to a clearinghouse, or your advisor will go to a clearinghouse because remember, trillions of dollars of real estate are owned by pension plans. We haven't even talked about those guys buying Bitcoin. Everybody's just focused on, hey, is the government going to do it? And now the states are going to do it. By the way, they haven't actually started doing it. They've just started taking action to be able to do it.
Right, they're like
So,
voting on it now.
right. So, I mean, for example, Texas today at about 11 o'clock this morning posted that they've now turned it into a priority. Well, think in the background for a minute and ask yourself, well, why would a state suddenly say, wait a minute, that thing we did 11 days ago to get ready to be able to buy BTC, we're going to make it a priority. Well, why do you think that? Let's think of the logic of why someone would do that. Well, they're doing it
The front run.
because all of the other states are going to get in line.
Yeah.
Right,
And now you're going to start seeing guys compete to
right.
get it done first.
And that's when the price starts really booming.
And
When people
that's when you
competing for
start
it.
saying, well, wait a minute, why are they competing? Well, they're competing because there's not supply to
Right,
meet the demand.
right. Imagine when sovereign wealth funds start doing that too.
Exactly.
When that green light kicks on for these big players, when all of a sudden they feel that the FOMO buying from the big dogs haven't even started yet.
It's just being discussed. It's
Right.
like, so once the domino kicks over, you got the sovereign wealth funds, you got the countries, you got the governments, you got the central banks, you got the banks, you got the states, you got the pension funds. I mean, it's layer upon layer upon layer of dominoes that are nowhere close to having the supply they're going to need.
Right.
Nowhere.
Wow. Now, Max, do you think all this is happening right now will result in like the 4-year cycle being over, and that
I don't think there's any such thing as a 4-year cycle anymore.
okay, so you think there's no multi-year bear
no-
markets?
There's no cycle. It's whenever it comes, it comes. And what happens when you think there's a 4-year cycle is you train your mind to be locked into this expectation, and that's when you get screwed.
Yeah.
You
Right.
gotta let this thing evolve and stretch your mind beyond this. Well, in order for the 4-year cycle to work, it's got to do this and it's got to do this and it's got to line up with that, and then this has to happen. Nobody knows that. I mean, that's just not the way it works. And by the way, as soon as a market, and I don't care what market it is, but as soon as a market has been decided that it can be read, it will be the very last time you're able to read it, because it will change.
Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean?
What that means is, we had a saying when I was a kid, when all the audience has learned the lesson, the teacher will teach a new lesson.
Right.
And now everybody's pretty
in
convinced.
fire right now, Max.
Think about it.
Right? God,
Yeah, I'm about to get this tattooed on my back.
yeah.
But think of the logic. See, markets are not designed as this pre-thought out process. That's not why you get paid. You get paid because you're taking risk of the unknown.
Right.
If everybody, look, the logic of deciding that there's a 4-year cycle to crypto, well, you're kind of defeating yourself already, because if a market was readable enough to know that there was a 4-year cycle, to know how the steps unfolded, to know all of that in advance, then there is no purpose for the market and there is no rate of return coming.
Right.
The only reason we get rates of return is because right now it's teaching us a new lesson, because everybody goes, oh, fuck, I guess the 4-year cycle's over. Well,
Right.
no, it's not over. You're just learning what risk is.
The more unexpected it is, the more you get paid.
Bingo. Exactly.
Yeah, you get paid for buying when the uncertainty's fucking high. That's the premium being paid.
Well, look at it. Look at my own perspective. Just look at my own story. The fact that the asset I bought for $700 has risen to what it's risen is because when I bought it for $700, it was a completely moronic thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who in their right friggin' mind would have bought something called Ethereum out of thin air for $6? I mean, you might as well just gone and burned it in the street. That's what 99.9% of the audience thought. Now, the reason it's X is because now only 97.4% of the audience thinks you're a moron.
Right.
And then when 95.1% think you're a moron, it's going to be $5,000. And then when 90% think you're a complete idiot, it's going to be $10,000.
Right.
Love that.
So
by the time it's normalized, you're done getting paid.
you're done getting paid, and it's going to be $155,000. Right. By the way, I'm just pulling a number out of my ass. But I'm trying to show the logic of how belief creates the final price.
That goes with the meme coin.
That's what creates the stability in the price.
That's what you're right. You're dead right. What it does is the evolution of the belief creates the upside swing, and then the full belief creates the utility effect and the stabilization.
Right.
God damn.
Oh yeah, Max.
Senator Loomis, I told you the race was on. It's time for America to win. I guess Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund bought. I think Yoni
Yeah,
might
they
have said.
just bought billions of dollars worth
Yeah,
of
I'm telling
Bitcoin.
you, bro. As soon as these
Yeah,
guys start FOMOing with each other, competing with each other, it gets dangerous quick because he's right. There's a finite supply. Also, you
yeah.
consider a lot of these guys are buying over the counter. That's going to stop relatively soon, probably,
There's
right?
no
Because
supply left to pull
there's
off
no
the counter.
supply left to pull off the counter,
Yeah.
so they're gonna very soon have to be buying it off of civilians, and then it gets cool.
Yeah.
I have a question.
What's good?
If you see a lot of these institutions, governments, pensions only buying Bitcoin,
They're going to buy
I mean,
everything.
they'll
Everything.
buy everything. You think?
Everything.
They got to
I
be
mean, there's
watching.
still
They got to be
speculation
watching the
which
Trumps.
ones invest.
Here's a way
I
to
feel like they all got to be
analogously
watching the Trumps buying this much ETH too. Like everyone
look.
can see everything.
Here's what you want to think about, guys. Up until maybe a year ago, maybe more likely a few months ago, this is what all institutional mindsets were aware of in equity investing: large cap, mid cap, and small cap stocks. They've been investing that way for 100 years, right? Large cap, mid cap, small cap. Now, just change the symbol from a stock symbol to a coin symbol, and you have large cap, mid cap, and small cap. They will all be assets bought. Does that make sense? In other words,
Right.
it is an analogous process. We are watching the infant days of that process coming together, but it will fall into that same level of thinking, and it will institutionalize itself across the landscape. And when all the big boys figure out that they're idiots and they're late, then you have never seen trucks load up as fast as they will load up.
It makes sense.
And the problem is, well, no, it's not a problem. What they will recognize is what Texas figured out at 11 o'clock this morning. They figured out, wait a minute, who the hell is going to buy in front of us? And if they buy in front of us, we're going to spend $5 million more. So slowly but surely, this is going to all converge on itself, and people are going to realize they're screwed, because the first guy that runs for the buy button is going to screw everybody else.
And Max, are you buying memes also?
Yeah, Matt Mark.
Yeah.
Epic. What has been your experience take on memes coming from? Obviously, it's kind of relatively similar. Well, it's not, because they don't actually do anything the way that these other things. But you're crazy, right, for investing in Ethereum at $7. It's kind of like a similar feel, except there's not really a utility or value that you're seeing through.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like your experience through finding meme coins, and maybe the difference between then and now, and obviously relative to your experience with like the fundamental altcoins.
Well, the meme coin experience, if I could have timed it any more imperfectly, it would have been a shocker to me, because I timed it exactly when not to start.
Yeah, me too. Twice.
Welcome to meme coins, Max. Welcome to meme coins.
Right. That's it in a nutshell.
So the good news is I learned all the ugly lessons very early in my experience. But what helped me, I think, and I hope it helps other people, what helped me, I think, is because I was a complete idiot to do what I did with Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Right. It's like that madness and the uncertainty, but still like an attention pointing in a direction that you kind of just have to take a chance on almost.
Right.
Yeah.
And just so you know, it was the buying I did, and he doesn't know this, was for my son anyway. So he's sitting on some nice things, but it was funny. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I looked at my wife and I said, this is going to sound completely crazy, but I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and Ethereum for our son. But anyway, it's kind of funny.
I
That's
love
that
that.
generational wealth.
What's
Yep.
that?
That's that generational wealth.
Beautiful.
Well, I just feel like in meme coins also it must have been interesting. Even Bren, like you can speak to this because there's so many more memes in the ecosystem. Like since the inception of memes, they've been top like 30%, it seems like, of like the top 20 or top 100 coins. I forgot what the stat is, but obviously some serious amount. There were so few at the time. And then in such a short amount of time, now that there's so many, I just wonder how that changes the dynamic or what you guys have noticed. Like Bren, you too, like what you, or for Loco, any Danksy, all you guys have been in multiple cycles. This is kind of like my real first cycle where I'm seeing like, both sentiments kind of come and go. I'm curious what you guys see the biggest differences are, or you think it's like relatively the same game.
I I think there's no doubt that the ridiculous number of coins being launched is having an impact on the good coins.
Right.
Uh, until we can all speak about money flooding the market, but until it actually floods, every new coin takes away from the same pile of money.
Right.
So it is clear to me that, first of all, there aren't 50,000 new good ideas every day. And,
Right.
and, and the fact that that many coins are being launched should tell you that 51,000 of them are really stupid, and it is gambling. It is not investing. It shouldn't even be called meme coins because it sort of degrades the value of a meme coin. But it's it's a reality that unfortunately exists in every new financial metric. Whenever
Right.
there's something new
Like
financial
even the
created,
beginning stocks, there'll be 50 in the beginning that are all low cap, and then eventually
yep.
there'll only be 4 or 5 that actually like take the pile.
And it's in every industry. I was telling Bren that, think about it. We had 550 car companies 50
Yeah,
years ago.
right.
We had 100 airlines 25,
Right.
30 years ago. It just works that way. And unfortunately, most people lose. I hate saying that, but it is a reality.
Right.
Yeah, low cap stuff definitely. Most stuff goes to, or the pump fund stuff especially. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I mean, I think for the last few years, for the most part, like meme coins have just been the same hot ball of like money rotating. I think if we play like past cycles or whatever, like at some point there is like a mass flood of quote unquote normies coming in, and I think this time maybe is a little bit of a slower trickle in. I think the FTX repayments, a lot of these different stuff is going to add into that. Eventually, we will get that period of influx of capital and it will sustain these big moves. And I think that's pretty close. But yeah, that's a great point. With the same amount of money in the market, however many billions of dollars that's sitting there rotating between these coins or sitting in these coins, more coins launching and that same amount of money obviously is going to dilute it. We
Yeah.
just need that more influx of capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, the reality
I've
is,
been
is that,
asking myself the same thing during this. Like until you see majors above a certain point, like do you remain a few coins that you really believe in? Like it could be the SPX, the Gigas, but you remain like a lot more cash heavy to kind of jump on new opportunities, also be on defense. Like
That
I
being
haven't
said, though, it doesn't mean that that money can't flow back in SPX and Giga and go back to where they were. I think a lot of the money that does go into these newer coins quickly gets flushed back into either ETH, Sol, or other coins. It doesn't sit in these coins for a long time. But I think if we want to see like 6 months plus of upside on SPX Giga, with small corrections in between, we probably will need to see like a fat influx.
right.
Um, sorry, I
well,
didn't mean
there
to
will
interrupt.
be
No,
evolution of human emotion is the same. Markets do not draw people in when they're down. They
Yeah,
only draw
that's what I
people
was
in
saying.
when they're up.
right.
Exactly.
And
Like right now, I think that just to touch on that point, like the Trump and the Portnoy thing, I think has onboarded a lot of people. But like Max just said, you don't really see that reflection until prices are going up. Like you're seeing the smart normies start to trickle in and they see the writing on the wall. Maybe they traded in past cycles, but until you see prices start to pump, that's when there's a fat influx of
Yeah, like pump and hold, because it's like a lot of this stuff is scaring people away. For a minute, when we were getting up only on a lot of these coins, you see so many like just normies be using moonshot, using a lot of these things, and they would hold at least a week, a few days. The price action was just like 10-15%, like stuff that's a bit more normal. But after this
Yeah.
last nuke, it just felt like everything took a nosedive at the same
Yeah,
time.
in November, right here, if you can see the chart, like we got this move up on Bitcoin from like 60
Right.
to 100. We start to saw a lot of normies come in, like the channel, Telegram channel, start to have a lot of influx of people. We start to see moonshot and stuff like you were saying, but then Bitcoin topped out for a bit. I think once this correction's over, we're going to start to see that November type of move, which by the way, ETH outperformed Sol by like 20% during that time. We're going to start to see on this next move up on the majors a more sustainable version of that November run with normies starting to come in, especially with the roots in the groundwork laid by like Trump and Portnoy and all these full send, all these like bigger names starting to lay their roots and stuff. So yeah, I think we're going to start to see the good coins really go crazy on this next major move up.
Oof! Look at Flog.
Let's not.
Yeah.
Let's
Makes
not. No,
No, we're not looking at Flog anymore.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Remember, once upon a time was the only shit we were looking at.
Bro, we had a Flog segment for like 20 minutes.
Literally,
Yeah.
I was freaking out because I couldn't buy it like 600.
You're like, fuck.
I know.
That's 60. No.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that we bottomed out, honestly, for alts and majors.
I agree. Yeah, I think, and to touch on Flog, I think this is kind of a rite of passage. We joke, but these coins, every single one, MOG, Giga, SPX, all these ones that have gotten over a billion have had this 90% correction at some point. And I think Flog really was more of a victim of the overall market conditions being shit. But with that being said, I think it has everything, the IP, the art, the content, the community, from what I've seen, and I think it has a recovery. Probably goes back to all-time highs.
Then this might be one of the best buys if you believe that.
Yep. That's what I've been preaching. It's like the people who have dry capital. I understand a lot of people are underwater. They don't even have any dry capital. Completely understand. But like the people who do and the people that are holding are really going to win here, are these good coins. And it gets fucking brutal. Like, trust me, like even someone who I've lived through this a while, like this one's been particularly pretty annoying. But,
Yeah.
I think even more so with everything we're getting regulatory clarity wise, there could just be so many potential things that could drop every day that pushes price up. That I think we're going to enter a really, really nice period here. What do you think, Max?
I think when the train is empty, it will leave the station and fortunes will be made.
You think the train's probably pretty empty right now, though? No, people are crashing out.
Pretty close. It's pretty close.
You think
I
we
mean,
get
I've literally crashed out like 6 times in the past 2 weeks.
Is that why we're not seeing you on stream, Yon?
Yeah, 100%. I was going to be too depressing.
Well,
you're-
when it gets really dark is when the rocket's almost fueled up.
Right.
I love that. So, Max, do you think that reflects? Do you think we get another move down on Bitcoin, or do you think prices are
You know,
pretty-
I realize I'm probably going to make everybody mad by saying this. I'm sorry, but I I think those if we focus too many people on price and movement of that price in short-term windows, we're not helping them understand. I heard it said this way the other day. We're used to traveling east and west and north and south to get where we want to go, right?
Right.
People need to understand that cryptocurrency is traveling up. Okay? It's up. It's away from fiat money and it's into a new understanding of protecting your capital,
Which means what in layman's terms for them?
which means you gotta not pay attention to the daily and the weekly and and the even monthly activity. You have to realize the world is changing, and the sooner you own it, the better.
Right. We're speaking about Bitcoin specifically, right?
Well, I would argue it's Bitcoin and maybe the top,
Bitcoin, ETH, so like any of the top five, all you're saying.
maybe the top
Dogecoin?
50, maybe the top 50 cap entities,
Got it. So all the
because
top.
they're all going to be used for something really important. They're all part of the structural change that's going on. So we gotta have that thought process in mind instead of, well, what do you think about Bitcoin at 97? Well,
Right.
um, it's cheap. That's what I think. But I would also say that at 109 and 81, right?
Right.
So I just think we have to get our minds a little off of the focal point of where it is right now.
Yeah, as far as the big alts go, that makes sense. I think a lot of these guys that are in the meme markets, they're really kind
Yeah.
of in and out. They're still kind of defining their thesis on stuff. Even I'm really curious to see what coins are going to bounce, what coins are going to survive. But the meme trenches are really different from things that really do things.
Yeah, if I added any value, it would be this on the short term. The only thing I learned over my years is that every time I got frustrated, I was overthinking things. As it turned out, I was
Right.
overanalyzing. I was overthinking. I was like a bug that was too close to the flame. I
Right.
was
Always checking your report, always checking where the bounce is, or
yeah,
chart
yeah.
is.
And when you realize you're doing that, you're gonna perceive things not in your best interest.
Right. You're micromanaging when you could just chill
Right,
out.
right, right. Just take a breath and let let the game come to you.
Right. That sounds.
A mod says check Zero Bro as well. I'll check Zero Bro real quick.
Yeah, fuck. If we want to really just shed a tear. Fog to zero, bro, is brutal.
Zero Bro. At least we're getting a bit of consolidation here. That's what I've been saying. If it's going to bottom out, we need some consolidation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it bottomed out. But
Yeah, if we get a big shift here, um, from there, it probably could. Again, it just comes down to Jeffy and the team's like ability they've shown us to be able to ship shit, make cool announcements, partnerships, music, all that. And I don't like to count those kind of people out. So unless if Jeffy just completely disappears, which I don't see that happening. I think once the conditions are favorable again, I see Zero Bro at least making a run. Does it get back to all time highs? I think there's a good chance. But again, with anything down 95%, you gotta have to see how it reacts. I do like the consolidation though again, and I really do hope to see Zero Bro you know recover because this is a nasty impulsive move.
Guys, I don't mean to be like rude. I'd love to stay in more, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to run to a meeting.
No
thanks for
worries.
popping in, Max Legend.
Yeah,
I
we're gonna
sure
go
hope.
and get off here in a second anyway. But yeah, Max, I appreciate you coming on. Max, look out for we're gonna do streams in the VC a couple
Yep.
times a week. The Boss Man calls VC, and then Max, may probably be back on
Yeah.
Tuesday if he's available.
Happy to help.
Awesome, yeah. So look out for more streams and everything from Max. Appreciate
Until I bore everybody to death, I'm happy to help.
Never that, Max. This has been great. And then everybody, this is Max's Twitter. He is just starting to tweet here more often. So
I'm gonna give you a follow, Max, for sure.
yeah, everybody shoot Max a follow, and we'll see you again soon, Max. Thank you for coming on, brother.
See you guys. Have a great one.
You too, man. Have a
Okay.
great day.
See you.
Yeah, that was great.
You guys are
Oh,
legends.
what's his account again? I totally forgot.
What'd you say?
Dude, I'm slow at typing. What's his account?
Sorry. Just type in Max Crypto 6, Max space Crypto 6, but it's demo I can't even say it, dude.
Try.
Demographics.
No, I found. Hey, he follows me. Huge.
Yes, sir. He's been watching the streams for a little bit. Max is great, man. Love
I
that.
honestly have to hop too. It's like been 2 hours.
Yeah, I gotta go to the gym as well. Or I'll call you Yoni here in a second. Then I gotta go to the gym. But yeah, with that being said, guys, that we did this nice 2 hours stream today. Stuff's been pretty quiet. It's great to have Max on here today. I do expect stuff to hopefully start to heat up here soon. But like Max said, focusing on short-term price action can drive you crazy sometimes. So just know that the stage is being set with the regulatory crypto laws and everything going on. And I do think we'll have a great year at some point, whenever that does start, whether it be tomorrow or a month from now, whatever. So with that being said, hold steady. I appreciate you guys for being on, everybody on. We're going to continue to put out streams and more stuff later on this year. So before we hop off, Danksy, Yoni, any closing final thoughts?
No, great stream today. Max was saying some very insightful stuff. Hopefully, settled everyone down. Really, I mean, it seems like everyone was kind of panicking or kind of waiting for the next move. But I mean, look at Max, right? Long term hold ETH and Bitcoin at $708, and look where he's at now. So still a long ways to go. Still very early on. So just hold on to your bags tight.
Yeah, and then real quickly, I want to hear Yoni. Any closing thoughts from Yoni? But Panda says add the Telegram chat next time. I think it's way more interactive. Panda, I'll DM you about that. I don't know if you mean add the Telegram chat directly to the stream, which would be actually fucking amazing. We'll look at that. Yoni, any closing thoughts, brother?
No, I guess if you don't have any dry powder like me, just hold fucking tight.
I
Hold
love
on,
that, bro.
hold on for dear life.
Love that. Love that. With that being said, we'll see you guys at Tuesday, at 1 p.m. PST. And with that, peace. Love you guys. Late.
All right, take care. Bye.